Okay, if you would gather again in order, I'd like to introduce the Episcopal Cabinet address. When I was thinking about what was the most appropriate thing to do here in my last annual conference, part of me wanted to speak to you about an hour about different teachings and so forth. But I realized they asked me to preach the opening worship and also to preach for the closing service, which will be the ordination service on Wednesday night. So I have an opportunity to do that. So I was in conversation with my cabinet and said, you know, when I leave, there's some things that I've done that people will forget 1 week after I left. There are other things that will be significant and be part of the story that East Ohio tells, even as they write a new chapter with new Episcopal leadership. So we were having some fun one day, and I said, you know, when I'm out of here, what stories are you going to tell about how God was working? Not stories about me, but stories about how God was working through some of the things that happened during that time. And so they got carried away a little bit. They really, you know, if you remember last year, I played the guitar and talked about improvisation and getting out of your comfort zone. And I looked around and I said, well, you've got a lot of gifts. I said, why don't you work on this for me? Why don't you work on a cabinet address that, because you represent the Episcopal office, about how God is working through us. How is God's grace working through all of our churches? And our superintendents, you know, they all have about 75 churches or so each, and so they get out among the churches and they have stories to tell. And so I asked them to put it together, and I said, let's be creative. And so what you're going to have as the address today is talking about how God has filled us with grace, worked among us, from the perspective of the cabinet, asking in the last 12 years, how has God been working us through this bishop? And we hope it has some of our own creativity, but like last year, be gentle with us because we're a little above our comfort zone in some of this too. So we will begin by asking Jim Winkler to come out and lead us.
Don't be smiling like that on the way over there.
Thanks, Dan, the moving man. Appreciate it. Well, here's a familiar sight for all of us who have moved or are moving in the next couple weeks. How many of you out there are moving in 2 weeks? Raise your hand. God bless you.
Yeah, I filled a few of these in my time. These wardrobe boxes, my favorite trick is to hang the clothes in it and then throw the shoes in the bottom, which I'm not sure the movers are always appreciative of that. But you know, moving, it's so much hard work and a lot of change.
I know, and I haven't moved as much as some people in the conference, but it's not fun, it's hard. And that's what this box makes me think of. Sometimes it seems like the entire annual conference is moving and changing.
Yeah, like the box makes you think of outside the box.
Yeah, outside or inside or any side. I mean, there's a lot of ways to be outside the box. We're learning that.
Yeah.
But what we've learned is that, well, what else could you do with that box?
Oh, that's a good question. What else could you do with this box? It could be something else. It could be a playhouse, or it could be a tunnel, or it could be a bus, or a boat, or a train.
when we were first married, we were so poor, we used boxes for furniture. We made this into a lampstand. And you could use it as a table if you laid it down.
Although I'm not sure it'd be strong enough for a really hefty table. It might break.
Well, it might, but frankly, that's what Bishop Hopkins has been teaching us for 12 years, that you innovate.
Yeah.
You get creative and you find new ways forward and up and out.
That's true. I mean, so say we made this box into something else, and somebody saw that we made it into something else. They said, that's a great idea. And it's kind of like what people are doing with pallets nowadays. All kinds of stuff people are doing with pallets. My daughter, Kirsten and her husband are making their garden fence out of pallets, which I'm sure they learned on the internet somewhere. And here's a fun fact for Gary George. I think Ohio is one of the leaders in making pallets in this nation. But anyhow, so you do something new, you improvise, you take a risk, you are creative, and then you share it with someone else. You pin it, you tweet it, you put it on your Facebook page. It's the ripple effect that the bishop talks about, and it works in churches too.
But Karen, here's a question. Change is hard. Why bother?
Yeah, I don't like change either. I'm a real homebody. I get attached to any place I live, even if it's the Best Western, for 2 nights while I'm at Cabinet, or Hotel Lakeside while I'm here at an annual conference. And yet, every time I go someplace new, it kind of makes my heart beat faster, and it makes my mind work harder. I keep getting a new angle on the picture.
The picture?
Yeah, the picture, the vision of a church where disciples make disciples.
Well, that's the kind of church I want to be at.
Well, of course it is, but that takes, having a strategy and setting goals and changing and moving.
Karen, some of the changes get rid of the box entirely.
Yeah, I know. We've seen that too, kind of breaking down the silos of power and getting rid of old enabling habits and changing the way we do business, just breaking it all apart.
Should we do that? Should we break this box down?
Oh, okay, let's do that. Come on. Yeah. All right. Wait. Yeah. There we go. Hey, look what it says. This way up.
This way out.
I'd say our way is graced.
That's amazing.
Up.
Out.
Moving on.
Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that bought my liberty. I do not know just why he came to love me so. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary, to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous the grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that bought my liberty. I do not know just why he came to love me so. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary, to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous the grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need.
You got it?
So as the table was in place. Okay.
Sandra, what are you doing there?
Oh, I'm trying to move these 734 churches along.
Well, let me give you a hand with that. Jeez, that looks like
that'd
it's
be
heavy
great.
or something. Jeez, oh man. Shoot, now we got to gather them all together again. Doggone it.
Oh, that's all right. That's all
All right,
right.
well, let me give you a hand with these. We'll get them cleaned up here in no time. Yeah, I know some of these churches. Hey, you
Yeah,
know
me
what?
too.
There's some things that are different about these churches, but there's a lot of things about them that's the same. And it seems like the things that unite them are more significant than the things that divide them.
Well, that makes sense, really, Brad. The bishop's always telling us that we don't live in isolation. I mean, churches aren't like silos out there all by themselves. As the United Methodist Church, we care about the ministry that each other is doing. We're in this together. I mean, look at these two churches. This is one of our largest churches, and this one here is one of our smallest
That's
churches.
in my district.
But they're both in compass groups.
Yeah, I remember when Bishop Hopkins first came to East Ohio 12 years ago, he came almost immediately with this vision about compass groups. And, honestly, we had a little bit of difficulty getting that concept rolling coming out of the gate.
Yeah, you noticed that too, huh? Yeah. Well, but the thing is, we've continued to struggle and strive and change and shape the compass groups so that we really can be helping every congregation be vital. And this past year, we've changed it again. And I really think maybe we're gaining some momentum with the conference staff helping train our leaders.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sandra. Hey, and look at these two. These churches are really different, but pretty sure I saw pastors of both of these churches at one of our recent boundary training events.
Brad, that was mandatory.
Well, and that's true, but one of the things I really appreciated about that was the way Bishop Hopkins talked about the fact that our primary accountability isn't to a set of rules or even to the institution, but to the kind of covenant relationship we have with one another.
Well, that's true. And, that's really lived out even in the cabinet where we have a written accountability to each other through our covenant. And really, think about all the churches throughout our conference that have started discipleship pathway, that is just really such an emphasis. Look at this church right here. This is one of our largest churches, and they have so many small groups going that they might really build connections and invite people in and then help disciple one another into a deeper relationship with Christ. Yep. And then look at this. This is one of our smallest churches, but they have such deep Bible study going on that they continue to grow and mature disciples of Christ. And this little group of cluster church, these are some of the smallest churches, and no, they're not in your district, but they have come together to do disciple Bible study, that together they might continue to help nurture each other in the faith. In order to make disciples, we got to be disciples.
I've heard that.
And we really see that happening across our conference.
It really makes me wonder how many new leaders have emerged because of this accountability.
Well, I don't know how we track necessarily all the new leaders that are emerging, but did you know that all the teens on CCYM became basic lay servants this past year?
That's awesome.
That is incredible. And they did spiritual gift inventories so that the youth of this annual conference can return to their local churches to be strong leaders and help disciple others for Christ. Who knows? Maybe some of those youth will become pastors. Because pastors all emerge from local congregations where gifts have been identified and passion and people come alongside to help raise us up. That's both of our stories.
Right.
And another kind of interesting thing to remember and celebrate is that since 2015, East Ohio has partnered with West Ohio Conference to form the Summit, where any lay person who's interested in exploring a call to ministry can go to the summit and explore that call. And this July will be the third summit that we have, and over 70 people have been invited
That's
to that
awesome.
summit. That's amazing.
We really do need to celebrate whenever disciples are being formed or or new leaders are being nurtured in the process. By the way, do you remember how it was back when you and I started in ministry? Well,
now, wait a minute.
Maybe not you. I'm the old guy here.
You're a lot older, brother.
Well, not a lot.
Oh, a lot, I think.
But I remember how it used to be when young clergy were coming in. More often than not, they'd be sent off into the hinterland somewhere, and usually it was the 2 or 3 point charge. But today, it's not unusual for new clergy to be appointed to places where they can do new work.
Mm-hmm. That helps build vital congregations, and that's what we're about. Look at these two. These two churches, I know, they consistently pay their apportionments. That's kind of important.
That is important because, you know, what we can do together as churches is far more than any single church could do alone. And so it's really important that we have an opportunity to do that when we combine our prayers and our presence and our gifts, our service and our witness. Does that sound familiar? When we do those things, it really does make a difference in the lives of God's people.
And it makes a difference in the world. This is exciting, but we really do need to get these churches gathered together so that we can move the church forward.
Yeah, but you know, I'm kind of glad that they came out of the box, because that when you see it this way, it really does help you get a picture of God's amazing grace.
Amazing grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Calling Gail Angel, District Superintendent of the Southern Hills District Outpost. Are you there, Gail? Are you there in the outpost?
I'm here, but did you say district outhouse?
No, I said outpost, not outhouse.
Oh, well, sometimes the cell service goes in and out a little bit in some parts of the Southern Hills District, and we do have a few outhouses. What have you noticed when you're in the Canal District these past couple years, Ed?
Well, I've seen many things in the Canal District. Among them, I see Pastor Oliver Campbell, who is appointed to the Centenary Church in Akron. In January, Pastor Campbell's appointment was expanded to include Open M Ministries, which is a ministry in urban Akron. And so now, since January, he has been, a part of his appointment has been to provide spiritual care for the clients at Open M, and also to begin to establish a new faith community in Urban M in the heart of urban Akron. What have you been seeing in your last 2 years in Southern Hills?
Well, I've seen at the Fairview Church recently, they've had some baptisms with lay servant preacher Cindy Ward and the help of nearby Pastor Clayton Coffey, who directs the Koinonia team ministry that Fairview's a part of. And they had a bunch of baptisms, and that included a family that were in the area with gas and oil work. And now they're going to take their faith with them out of the community of the Saints of Fairview. So what else is going on in Canal?
I see 73 outposts who are collaborating in new and innovative ways. I see pastors and congregations increasingly willing to take risks, even if those risks mean failure. I see God continuing to call people into ministry. I see God on the move. What else are you seeing in Southern Hills?
Well, we have 90 outposts, and we also have the Epworth Center, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary October 1st with an event. And you can go check out the details on the epworthcenter.org website. I hear that they've had an impact even on some of the outposts in the Canal District, like the Talmadge United Methodist Church. So they've helped with Bridges Out of Poverty training and all kinds of things.
So that's 73 outposts in Canal District, 90 outposts in the Southern Hills District. That's a lot of outposts.
No, there's 734 outposts, and each outpost is part of the whole church. So we have one church, 734 outposts. And when you get appointed to an area, you're not just appointed to a congregation, but to a whole area. So 734 congregations, one church.
Ah, I see. That's amazing, Grace. I mean, that's amazing. Gail? Over and out.
Got your Happy Meal?
As two lifelong friends are having lunch in the park following worship, the following conversation takes place.
You know, Paulette, that is not the same church we used to attend.
Well, you know, Joe, I know what you mean. Oh, boy, the church has changed.
Oh, you aren't kidding. I mean, it hasn't been that long since we've been there. It's only been like 12 years. I mean, who knew Something could change that much in such a short amount of time.
Did you notice all those people?
Oh, I didn't know half the people there.
Well, I didn't either. You know what? But wait. Somebody was saying that there's a spirit that's energy.
A spirit? What's that got to do with our church?
I don't know. There's just a new energy. The people just seem to be on fire. All those new people we saw, they were brought into church by the members.
By the members? Who ever heard of such a thing?
What? I don't know. I like a little gossip. And someone said that there was the new members come, but the old members are going out and they're just bringing people in. And, that's what you get. You get the spirit moving.
So the people in the church are going out, connecting with people in the community.
That's right.
Maybe even forming friends. Bringing them into the church with them.
That's what they're doing.
What are we paying the pastor to do? Really?
Now, don't get so carried away. Don't get so carried away.
Okay.
I'll tell you what the pastor's doing. They say she's out on Tuesday mornings in the coffee shops, in the community, laughing and talking, even taking a Zumba class.
So she's out in the community. I miss the good old days when the pastor was always in the office.
Yeah, but you know what? But you know something? I saw a sign today when I left the church.
Mm-hmm.
I think it said, disciples make disciples.
I get tired of these slogans you can never find in the Bible. I mean, who ever heard of followers of Jesus making other followers of Jesus?
I don't know. That's what it is. But my friend says, it's part of what the bishop has been encouraging churches to do, to empower the laity and then to grow vital congregations.
What's a bishop? No idea? If I was to speculate, knowing there's no harm in speculation.
Yeah, speculate.
No need to relocate somebody for merely speculating.
That's right.
I wonder if a bishop isn't this really cool, guitar jamming,
could be.
wise, just visionary leader. Happens to be slightly chronologically enhanced, about to retire, But, what do you think?
I think you're onto something.
It could be.
Could be. Well, you know what, and then, my eyes aren't that great, but I did see this on the bulletin board, something about, did you see the bulletin board?
Oh, yeah. It said 3 C's and volunteers in mission.
Yeah. Well, you know what that is, don't you?
Oh, no, I was getting the coffee, and they got these cool little eclairs. Oh, they are so good.
You missed it. The 3 C's. Well, there are these projects that are taking place in Russia, Liberia.
Really?
Yeah, Sierra Leone. Even Zimbabwe.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Zimbabwe. And so, there's just a lot of stuff going on there. People in ministry.
Well, why would we do that? What's the 3 C's stand for even?
Well, I just told you weren't listening.
Oh, that's my problem, my wife says, But churches, classrooms, clinics,
That's right. My memory.
Oh, that's all right. I'm with you, sister.
Yeah, they do. Churches, classrooms, and clinics. I think we've heard that. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I think more than that, I just think the Spirit, Jesus has gotten into folks.
Oh,
and they just want to share Jesus. And we're just
Is that what they do with like that volunteer and mission?
Yeah, that's all. It's all part of the same thing.
It is.
It's all part of the same thing.
Well, what's a volunteer and mission?
Well, you know what? My hunch is, we can put on our thinking caps. It's probably people who sign up to do mission work. They can either do mission work 1 week or maybe even a day or 2 weeks or maybe even a year.
Well, where do you go?
Well, I've been watching books.
You got a brochure.
Yeah, brochure.
Look here, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Why Kalamazoo? They need Jesus' amazing grace so badly in Ann Arbor.
That's something.
Why? I mean, they're living in wolf dens of iniquity in that place.
Well, but go on.
Oh, and Haiti, that's coming up the end of this week.
Yeah.
On the Camp Formation in Liberia, that's one of those 3C projects, isn't it?
See, now you're getting
And then
it.
the Midwest Mission Distribution Center, that's coming up in August. How cool.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just really, it's interesting to see all the opportunities that are available to serve.
We know things are changing. Things are new. And you know, it's all a part of disciples making disciples.
It's just hard to catch up with all these changes, and just makes me wonder, Paulette, how different is our church going to be when we attend again in another 12 years?
Well, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know.
Oh, looks like some storm clouds are rising in the
we better
west.
take our lunch and go.
Better get out before we get hit by lightning.
That's right.
We're going to end with this song. But the word is, it's all amazing grace. We've all received it. We need to share it up and out. And so we're going to ask you to join in as we move along in this song. And then when you're finished, you can go to lunch. But take the amazing grace out of these walls and into the world like you've already been doing for the past years. And go forth for God.